Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. Let's get transitioned over and get started. All right, everything looks to be going okay. Look to be doing okay. All right. So just before the stream, I came in and I got everything up and running, made sure it all works, right? We've seen this a bunch of times. Um, So let's go ahead and just shut this down. Just for context about where we are, we recently, did an exploration of some functional stuff, right, around monads and monoids, and we got our option type in here, right? In the future, we may add a full functional library and replace what we've got, but for right now, it works. I don't want to spend too much more time on that. I did come across a couple of things that I wanted to experiment with today. And one of the first things is this eslint plugin tree shaking. Um, it's supposed to mark when we start doing things that could break potential tree shaking in the future. I really want to experiment with this plugin and see if it works with just like ESBuild. And see how well it works. It says it works with Rollup and Webpack, but I've also seen mentions of this in other places for Angular, and I mean it's been updated within the past couple of weeks. Um, so I just want to experiment with it. Let me get this into the chat for you guys, in case you're interested in taking a look. Yeah, this is the first library that we're looking at today. And there's one other one that I want to take a look at, but let's get this one up and going and just see what it does, right? So to install it, we just do a typical install. So we'll go over here and we'll just do our pnpm. We'll grab this and we'll go ahead and save it. So there we go. npm needs to be updated to 9.6. Huh? We can do that once this all finishes. We're running pnpm off of Volta. So we'll go ahead and we'll upgrade it through Volta. And once that's done, there's quite a few. That took a little while, but let's. So if we do like Volta list, we'll see that we have node installed yarn and pnpm and pnpx. I think if we do all, it'll list everything. Yeah, so all the stuff we've got set up. Interesting that that's my default. And yarn and pnpm's at 9.2. So what we can do is we can just do a Volta install, and we can do pnpm at latest. And that's going to upgrade our pnpm version using the Volta package manager. So now if we do a pnpm -- version, and we're at 9.6. So we've taken care of that. So the next thing to do is just take a look at what we need to do. So we need to add tree shaking to our plugins. So okay, we'll go ahead and do that. .es eslint.rc.json. So here we've got our NX plugins. So I think right here we can just add our wait, where have I been adding? Did I not add any other linting rules? I thought we had the we got NGRX all. Yeah, see, we're just using plugin here. Interesting. I wonder if we haven't added our NGRX. And also we need to add um, we need to add tree dash shaking. We'll get that in there too. And that should configure it, but they have a couple of recommended configurations in here. So they want to add the no side effects and initialization to the rules section. So let's go ahead and add that in. I mean, they add a whole bunch of other stuff. We'll worry about that when we hit it. So got that. This is plugin ngrx/all nx/javascript TypeScript. So let's add another one here. We'll go for we want to go for our files of star.ts. That's fine. And then we want to plug in tree shaking. Was it tree shaking recommended that they were using, or was it? I think it's just plug in tree shaking, right? So we'll just go here and we'll take off the recommended. And we'll just say rules here. And we're going to add in the tree shaking, no side effects, and initialization. And for now, let's make it a warning. I don't want to make it. Well, I don't have anything breaking the build, so we can make it an error, right? If I had CI/CD, I would be. If I was adding something like this, I would start with it as a warning. But the other thing I would do is I would use something like Betterer to look at my code and make sure that everything works out, right? So let's see what happens here. Now that we've done that, if we do pnpm exec nx, and let's do run many. Yeah, and we'll just lint all of our files and see. Hopefully we haven't broken anything by what I've done. So it is taking a little while to get started. I want to take a look at something in the task manager. I found that if I go in and shut everything down, there's usually like a ton of console windows open, and I don't know why. Yeah, something is causing that issue to happen again. And we've got a bunch of console windows. I'm going to kill that one. I'm going to kill that one. One thing we can do, because I've been trying to track this down. So I keep going in and into the settings and in the command prompt, in the advanced, I keep turning this off to never close automatically. But close only when process exits successfully. So let's save that. And for right now, something is holding on to a lock, and that's why we're stuck here. So let's go ahead and just kill some of these console windows. And eventually I'll either kill this window or it will go. Oh, I'm wrong. So we have some node processes that are, oh, we've got another bunch of Windows command processors. So we'll kill those. Oh, I managed to kill the one that I was using. That's fine. Yeah, I don't know what keeps kicking off all these um, all these node servers. But I've got a whole bunch of node processes running right now. Okay, let's see what happens now. It looks like I killed the node, the NX daemon. So it just wants me to run pnpm exec NX reset. And that should reset the daemon, daemon. I don't know how you want to pronounce it. So there we go. And so now I should be able to run the lint command. And hopefully it runs this time. I see that's usually a bad sign. Let's try shutting this down. Let's get a new command prompt here. This is a little bit frustrating, I will admit. Terminal previews up and going. Do I have any node processes? I've got one node process running. We'll kill that. Node spawn server.exe. I wonder what that is. So now I'm just looking for any command processors or anything like that. And I will admit this is a little bit tiring, but it looks like things are okay right now. So now I should be able to run my lint command and hopefully everything runs as expected. See, that's it's resetting the cache and stopping the daemon, right? So it failed to clean up the workspace data directory. And we saw this before too. I'm curious if we run this with verbose, it gives us more information about the directory it's trying to do, but I think it's in here. Yeah. Let's just look. I've got yeah, so here if we go and come on, show more options. I want to use I want to see what's got this locked. I want to see, so I've got a whole bunch of node processes that still have this locked. So let's kill those and just reset. Okay, so now let's see if I try to reset that directory. Okay, so that works. Nothing is holding on to that file. So now I should be able to lint. And there is, you know, there is a little bit of frustration when it comes to this kind of stuff. Failed to process the project graph. I want to see what's going on if we do verbose here. Okay, so something is definitely wrong. Failed to load plugin tree shaking to extend from. Okay. So the plugin tree shaking is causing the issue. Failed to load config plugin tree shaking. Let's go take a look at our tree shaking in the node modules. Here's our eslint tree shaking lib. There's no side effects. Oops. Here's our index in here. So it may not be an actual plugin, and that may be why it told me to do the rules. Let's just put this up on the rules up above, and we'll remove that and get rid of that comma. And so inside of here, in these rules, yeah, that's fine. We can put them in here. So these rules here, let's just add our tree shaking rule. Oops. So there we go. And again, we will run this with our verbose flag on just to make sure that we haven't broken anything. There we go. So we're already getting some stuff that's saying, hey, you've got some side effects in your plugins or in your. So we've got some side effects. That's interesting. Error, parsing error, cannot read file, tsconfig.json. I'll worry about that later, but we've got a bunch of errors. So like the vehicle info store feature cannot determine side effects of calling imported function. So I'm curious what we flagged here as being a potential issue. So let's take a look at this one. So the vehicle info store feature, right? Vehicle info store feature. So inside of here, it has marked on line 128. Reshaking, no side effects. Injection token. Interesting. A tree shakeable injection. Interesting. So let's go take a look because it looks like Angular provides information about tree shaking injection tokens. So let's go take a look at that. So let's go to angular.dev, and we're going to search for our injection tokens. Injection token. Description. Usage notes. It's just there. That's why we don't have it there either. Let's just go look for tree shakeable injection. Okay. I'm really curious. So in Angular, a tree shakeable injection token is a token that can be removed from your application bundle during the tree shaking process. Here's how to create a tree shakeable injection token. Provided in root. I don't know that the AI is right here. Let's see here with the injection token from the old Angular site. Tree shakeable injection token. So manually constructed service. So the plain injection token just that. And see, I provided in root. That's interesting. So my service token. Lightweight. Hey, thank you, Michael. Let's just grab that link. And that's not where I want to look at it. And welcome to the stream, man. Then .dev. Probably .dev is not. So lightweight injection tokens. This page provides a conceptual overview. When tokens, to better explain the condition under which token retention occurs, consider a library that provides a library card component. This component contains a body and can contain an optional header. In a likely implementation, the libcard component uses content child or content children to get libheader and libbody, as in the following. Because libheader is optional, the element can appear in the template in its minimal form. In this case, libheader is not used, and you would expect it to be tree shaken. But that is not what happens because libcard component actually contains two references to the libheader component. Content child. One of these references is a type position. Yeah, the other is a value position. The compiler handles token references in these positions differently. The compiler erases type position references after conversion from TypeScript, so they have no impact on tree shaking. The compiler must keep value position, and that's true. It has to. You can't get rid of those. In this example, the compiler retains the libheader component token, When you use the lightweight injection token pattern, tree shaking problem arises when a component is used as an injection token. There are two cases when this can happen. The token is used in the value position of a content query. The token is used as a type specifier for constructor injection. In the following example, both uses of other component caused retention of other component. So here, yeah, other component is optional, but it is being referred to in the constructor as part of the injection, right? The other is the content child because other component here is the value reference, right? This is the type reference. This is the value reference. So referencing something in the constructor or in the in the value like of content child causes it to be retained. Although tokens used only as type specifiers are removed, so all tokens used for dependency detection injection are needed at runtime. So optional gets changed to optional inject, right? This other component, other, because of the tree shaker to keep the reference. And again, it's very similar, right? Because this behind the scenes gets turned into this, and this is a value reference very similar to this reference. So I don't really know much about injection tokens other than they are what smartest people do. I recall hearing about token shaking stuff before. Yeah, so using lightweight injection tokens. So the following example shows how this works with the lib header component. Lightweight injection token design pattern consists of using a small abstract class as an injection token and providing the actual implementation at a later stage. The abstract class is retained but not tree shaken, but it is small and has no material impact. So abstract class lib header token, and then lib header component extends lib header token. So yeah, this is that's, yeah, much smaller than this one. And then content child lib header token. So now we're like the value references here are referring to this, right? They aren't referring to the component itself. So the component can be tree shaken away. The lib header token is retained, but it is only a class declaration with no concrete implementation. It is small and does not materially impact. So yeah, and then basically you would set up the provider when you need it. Use existing lib header. Oh. That's an interesting trick. That's a really interesting trick. So you set up the, so this token is basically nothing, right? It's really just used for the providers array here. And then inside of here, they didn't even use injection token. They just flat out use lib header token because the class extends it. That must be what allows it to use it as an injection token. But the real trick is right here. This is the magic, where they're saying, hey, when the DI asks for lib header token, give it the existing lib header component that's being processed here, right? And this allows the tree shaking to happen. And now, when it asks for a lib header token, you just, that's when it goes and creates this, right? The dependency injector will only create it when this token's asked for. But this abstract class is incredibly small, is kept in and not tree shaken away. That's actually kind of pretty brilliant. Um, I like that pattern. I like that pattern a lot. I've never used it, but it's fascinating. Like, I'm curious if we look at our stuff, right? We look for like view child. Um, so like this reference here isn't referring to a value. This is a type. So it's not the value. And again here, um, but I'm really curious about like specific places. Um, so it's struggling to understand that this no side effect for current line, and the reason that it's struggling with that um, is that yeah this token and again it's referring to a type, so this type can be tree shaken away, but the injection token itself might not be. And so we can probably update our eslint RC to handle this. Um, fascinating. Like this is why, like a lot of times I don't like to use eslint as a way to bash people over the head. Sometimes you have to, right? Like at big enterprises, sometimes you just have to, right? To keep code sane. Um, sometimes you have to stop things in the build pipeline, and that's okay, right? Um, but most of the time, I look at like the ESLint rules as a way for me to learn something. Like I never would have dug into this. I never would have learned this pattern today if we hadn't just been like, hey, can we do stuff with our bundles, right? Um, so using it for API, a component that injects a lightweight injection token might need to invoke a method in the injected class. The token is now an abstract class. Since the injectable component implements that class, you must also declare. So here, again, libheader token do something. Um, oh, see, so again, this is like setting up, but this is again very lightweight injection tokens. We're using the token as a stand-in. I would really try to avoid this. Like there are times when you can't. So like if you're doing dialogues or overlays or something like that, this kind of stuff has to happen, right? So, so it's good to know about this too, right? That you need because you're injecting the token and not the actual component. Um, you need to have the API on the abstract class, and that makes sense, right? Um, very, very, very interesting pattern. But I think like reshakable dependencies in Angular projects. Um, oh, this is Lars. So if you guys don't know, Lars is brilliant. Um, so let's see here if he has injection tokens. Okay, providing primitive values. We are tasked to display a deprecation notice to Internet Explorer 11. We'll create an injection token. This allows us to use a Boolean flag. Boom, so they created the injection token. In Angular version 2, we could use opaque token similar to injection token without the type argument. we can pass a factory, removing the need for an Angular module. So we've got a value factory that's returning a function that we can test for the IE. When using a factory provider provided in defaults to root, let's be explicit by keeping it value factors. We decided to, so here we're using an injection token. Internet Explorer 11 flag. Where did my scroll bar go here? That was really weird. Why does my scroll bar go away? That is so weird. We had the deps, short for dependencies, to declare factory dependencies. Dependency injection token constructor doesn't currently allow us to declare factory provider dependencies. Instead, we have to use inject function from Angular core. Yeah, so they're using the inject function here. So I've set up another injection token that's grabbing the user agent, and then they're injecting that in their other injection to token. So factory can't use deps. But I'm not seeing anything here that's like, hey, don't use injection tokens. I'm testing tree shakeable dependencies. Yeah, I don't see anything here that tells me, hey, injection tokens aren't tree shakeable, or be careful in this instance. Making components tree shakeable. Optimizing. So this is the one that you shared with me, Michael. Yeah, Lars is definitely goated. If you ever get a chance to talk to Lars, take that opportunity. So it looks like injection tokens are designed to be small. So we're going to override our rules, right? And so let's go take a look at. So here we can add like no side effects when called. So we can just do like function, right? Or so we'll give ours a shot, right? So let's go to our eslint.rc. And inside of here, where we added this, we now need to, I believe we make it an array. Let me just make sure. Yeah, it's an array with the level first and then any overrides second. So, boom. And inside of here, we are going to add a new property. And this new property is called no side effects when called. And the other thing it says we could do is just add this override, but um, I don't want to do that everywhere. Um, so we will add that, and so that's the key. No side effects when called, and that's an array. And then we can just use function. Um, so inside of here, we can say function, um, and the function I think we want to try um, is injection token, right? So injection token. So that should theoretically fix our issue. If we go lint again, um, that should pick it all up. And it looks like our linting went much faster. And yeah, so right away we just got a whole bunch of that stuff all fixed up. Oh wow, yeah, I'll bet. Let me allow that. I don't know why that's holding it up. It was holding it up because of NG9. I guess so. Here's the thing about stream is there are so many people out there trolling you, trying to get you to say dangerous things, right? And so it might be catching this as, oh no, this is close to, um, right? In the context of this channel, that's Angular 9, right? But in the context of other channels, yeah, I use Gitkraken to do my commits. I, I typically, so I do some commits inside of my editor when I'm using VS Code at work because we have like some conventional commit rules, and the plugin for VS Code works really well. And so I'll do my conventional commits there. Um, but for the most part, I don't worry about it too much. Really. WebStorm commit, I'll give it a shot. Um, but so here we are, we're like test setup.ts. We don't we don't care if there's side effects there. So let's see. We should be able to um, why did I turn this off? I don't remember why I turned this off. No with state, no arrays at root level. Like I don't know why I would use an array at root level. Um, Curious about that one. I don't know why I added it. I don't remember what caused that issue. Um, Maybe we'll see it come back and I'll be like, oh yeah, you idiot, put that back. But we'll see. Um, what I would like to do is for this one in particular, I would like to add ignore files for a specific rule. Um, can I do that with eslint? Um, eslint ignore files for rule. Yeah, there we go. Turn off eslint for a specific file. Um, yeah, but that's not what I want to do. I want to I want to do something like this, but I want to scope it to that rule specifically. So this is how I've been saying. So I was going to say this is how we do it, and then like I'm old enough that anytime I hear something similar to that, I hear the old "This is how we do it" song, and the old Montel Jordan. Um, so it looks like we're never going to want to run these rules for we're never going to want to run them for anything. So here, NX TypeScript, these ones, these ones. So we could add here, we could say that for files, and here, when we look at it, the file that's called into question is test-setup.ts. So let's just see if we can just do that. Test.setup or test-setup.ts, right? And the rules, we want to take this rule and just turn it off. So we should be able to just say that it is off. And that should clean that up. Let's go ahead and lint this again. And what's interesting is we're not getting, I'm still running it verbose. That's why I'm not seeing that. So all files past linting. So here, so our naive option dot spec.ts. So we don't care about tree shaking in any of our test files either. So let's go ahead and also add those here. From start. Right, and we probably, well, we don't have any plugins that we're using. You know what? I probably need to put some of that code back. So yeah, I think I need the extends. I don't think I need the rules though, but I do think I need to put, let's go back and let's discard this line and discard that line. Wait, what did I do? I messed some stuff up. Yeah. So here, we'll just grab these rules. These rules don't make any sense, but I think we do want to run NGRX all on our TS files. And so here we can go files again, and we did test dash setup .ts, and we also did all of our test files, right? Because we don't care about we don't care so much about them failing. So there we go. So now if we go ahead and lint again, and I didn't intend to get stuck into linting so much, and I need to turn off that verbose. Oh, it's not going to show what I thought. Yeah, it should. Oh, that's why I turned it off. Ha! No state arrays at root level. That's exactly why I turned it off. I should trust me from the past. Oh, okay. So we want to get this one also and put it back in to our NGRX. I forgot that it requires a special setting on our eslint for the projects where we're going to use it, and I need to turn that off. Okay, so now we're in a better place. So here we're looking at the store. So in the wizard store, it says we have some side effects. So let's take a look at wizard store.ts. And it's going to say that some of our linted stuff, signal store with computed, with methods, and with state. I think these, so like patch state, it's fine with. That's interesting. But signal store, it's going to create a dependency on NGRX signals. But that doesn't mean that we have to be bundled in with it. So I think we can grab these also. And ignore them. Is there a way to more ignores? Should just be able to do functions and module NGRX signals. So I should be able to just go here, go module, and it's at ngrx/signal. And then it's going to be functions inside of there, and we've got an array. Boom. So we want to surround u in quotes, u in quotes, quotes, and u in quotes. So that should help with the ngrx stuff. And so let's take off the verbose this time around. There we go. That's kind of what I was expecting to see. And we'll try WebStorm commit to see if I get any slowdown on it. I haven't really used it, so we're getting better. We're down to 4 out of 10 failures. So this one, oh, signals. Try again. I'm willing to bet that's what most of our failures are right now. So we've got 6 succeed. So we did fix that one because now we're only down to 3 out of 10. Every time I get an ad, it breaks the. I'm sorry about that. I've tried to cut down on the number of ads that get played. Yeah, that sucks. Appconfig.ts. Ooh. So appconfig, I was like, oh, we can ignore that. We can't really ignore appconfig because it might. I mean that's going to affect our initial bundle. So let's take a look at our appconfig in modular state. But this does seem to be doing pretty well. It does have some, okay, so provide zoneless and provide router. I think we can ignore these two, but I'm not gonna, well, should I add, I don't know. I don't think so. I'm just gonna add a suppression. So that's gonna clean up that file. Because like I don't care if app routes is bundled along with my app config, that doesn't bother me. And you know the zoneless change detection, that one, it does some stuff, but again, whatever it needs to bundle is going to have to come anyway, because it's going to be loaded anyway. So I'm not as concerned about that one. The language service Tailwind terminated. What about Tailwind terminated? Interesting. Can I restart Tailwind from here? Yeah, I can. See if that crashes again. So I should be down to just 2 files now. And the thing I really like about NX is that, you know, it's, man, I've still got a bunch. So, oh, playwright config. Oh, it's interesting that it's picking up example here. Because I thought I marked these ones as not being, oh, this is telling me it can't read the TS config. I'm not going to worry about, there's probably something I need to do to fix that. But this is my E2E project. To be honest, I'm really just debating just getting rid of my E2E project. I don't typically write E2E tests on stream. Let's take a look at state is defined but never used. That's okay. Vin decoder service, unknown node type private identifier. So Vin decoder service. Oh, let's take a look at Vin decoder service. I'm not sure what that error means. Vin decoder, and this will be what we'll be looking at here in a little bit. So it's telling me, oh, private identifier. If you're using the latest version of this plugin, please consider filing an issue noting this message. The offending statement, your eslint version, and any active eslint presets and plugins. It looks like it doesn't understand private variables. Is going to be my guess. So we're going to suppress it for this file. So there we go. That fixes that issue. And so far, the stuff that we've run into have been, at least as far as I'm willing to say, the stuff we've run into have either been false positives, which we fixed, or stuff that we're okay having it create a bigger bundle size and not tree shake away. So this is the tsconfig stuff again. So store.ts and main.ts and tailwind config. So tailwind config.js we don't care about. That's not going to be bundled. So we will add that to the ones that are turned off. So here we want to add tailwind config.js. And then the other thing is like our main.ts. We'll go take a look at that and store.ts. And again, we're getting like spread elements. So I like what it's doing for us, but I'm curious. Store.ts. So inside of here with vehicle details. And with vehicle info. So these two, yeah, so by including these functions, there is a possibility that we bring a whole bunch of state along with us, right? Because we refer to vehicle details here. We refer to this token here. And like these type things right here, they're referring to values. So that's referring to a type. That's an injection token. That's a type. That's a type. Like that is an interesting. And again, like with this one. There is a real possibility, like you can't tree shake these away. But when you're using these, you're going to want the stuff that comes along with the store. So I think I'm going to just say, hey, we're okay with these ones, right? But I do like that already. I like that this library is forcing me to think about my injection tokens here. Or not my injection tokens. It's forcing me to think about these functions here. Um, as the custom features in the signal store do have the potential to bring along a lot of stuff that you're not expecting. And tree shaking them could be difficult. So I really like that it's making me look at this stuff and just be like, wait, what's going on, right? Catch. So it doesn't know about Bootstrap application. It's got a reference, like it's referencing the app config. So whatever's in app config is going to come along in this bundle. Whatever's in app component is also going to come along in this bundle. This is interesting because right, if we wanted to do lightweight, and I'm really curious about this. Oh man, I'm sorry. Another ad after reload. Um, that doesn't sound fun. But one of the things, and I'm really curious what would happen, right? So let's go take a look at our app component here, and let's try this lightweight pattern, right? Um, so let's just export abstract class, and here we'll just call this our abstract. Um, we'll call this our app component token. Is that what we want to do? I don't think we can abstract this away because I don't think, like, if I do this, let's just see what happens, right? If I abstract this away. And so inside of here, the other thing we want to do is we want to provide abstract, they're not abstract, we want to app component token, and we want to use existing app component. Right, so we're now going to use this, and I'm really curious if we do that, and I go back here to the main TS, can I use the app component token here? And then import that. No, so the app component, cannot assign an abstract constructor to a non-abstract constructor. Okay, so that doesn't work. Darn it. I was wondering if we could use that to cut back on some stuff. But one thing we can do is in our app or in our eslint, we can add Bootstrap application up here as, I think we could probably just make this functions. Or function, and yeah, functions. And let's just add Bootstrap application to this. And that should be fine. And now if we go back to our main.ts, probably take a while to catch up, but like this catch here, think we're fine there. But let's see what happens if we go and lint things again. I'm wondering if we've solved most of our linting issues. Um, Three out of nine failed. Um, Vehicle store. Wait, why is that one broken? So I think I broke it by let's go back and just fix this. So this probably does need to just be function. So injection token can go there. And then we'll just duplicate this down. And inside of here, we'll just paste our other Bootstrap application. And it's interesting that WebStorm was smart enough to, um, appropriately escape all of that stuff. That was kind of cool. Um, so this should fix up. So 1 out of 9. So we've already done better. 2 out of 10. This one is store.ts. I'm curious what is in there. I thought we'd fix that one up. But this one is the TS config stuff in that E2E project. And you know what? Um, NX generator delete. Wait, what? NX generate UI. Well, if I broke anything, I broke it. Um, but so that's the TS config. So this is just in the store.ts. So let's go see what happened in store.ts. Which is it complaining about? I thought we disabled this one and this one. Curious. Curiouser and curiouser. We'll add the playwright tests back if we need them. But so this is saying on line 4 and line 8. Line 4 and line 8. So it's like it's not picking up this change, right? Because we've got it disabled. Just go make sure that disabling it is like magic comments, tree shaking, no side effect when called. Tree shaking, no side effect when called. Like it's working here, but it's not working in our linter. Now it is. I just had to save it again. I don't know what was going on there, but um, now we're passing. Um, I sniped myself with this library, but I'm really curious here. So like if we look at this app component, right? We don't need this anymore. Um, doesn't make sense. I'm really curious about the lightweight stuff. Um, so like here, let's take a look. So um, if we do pnpm exec nx build, yeah, with our stats JSON here. So we're going to get a production build. And then we could go to our dist directory and our apps directory and our modular state directory. Oops. And inside of here, we've got our stats.json, right? But if we look, we may not need to go that far. So our initial bundle size is 70K. A good portion of that is Angular. I think this initial bundle here is all Angular. But I'm curious, like, what's in our main bundle? Like, what can't we tree shake away? And so npx, I think we were using pnpm dlx esbuild. Yep, that's what we're looking for. So that's going to create stats. So if we look, that creates a stats.html, and we can just start stats.html. Come on. And of course that went over there, so we will close that. And let's bring it up in here. So here we go. These are our chunks, right? And our biggest chunk is by far and away this one at 127K. And inside of here, we have RxJS. We have tslib, and we have Angular, right? So Angular makes up 108 K of this chunk, right? And then RxJS takes up 17. And so we could abstract this away by loading Angular later, and we could take a look at that in the future. But we've also got like this styles chunk. That's just going to be there. But we've also got this chunk here. This is our main chunk. So inside of here, we've got the state. And state is really only 2K. What's in here? So the app routes and the app components. And this was what we knew was going to be in here, right? When we looked at the potential tree shaking, right? We knew the app component was going to be here. We tried to get app component out, but as long as we keep app component small and we don't cause app component to grow, we should be fine. So this main bundle, that is our, bootstrap stuff here. This is platform browser. So again, this is, this comes in with the bootstrap, right? So if we look at our main.ts, right, platform browser is what brings in Bootstrap application. And it called it out for us as, we can't tree shake this away. That makes sense, right? We can't load it without that. And then router is being added here. And the reason router is being added is because of this, right? And we can see that, right? It's imported by app component and app config. So both of the files referenced here are what cause router to be here. And there's really no way around that. That's like these two files are big chunks, but there's, there's not a lot of a way to get around that. So then, we're starting to look at much smaller chunks. So like our CSS, these three chunks, we know what they are and why they're there. There's not a whole lot we can do about them. So the next chunk is this JP6 chunk. And, we've looked at this recently, but I'm curious if we can do a little bit of cheating here. So this JP6 chunk, what is in here? So this is the common, so whatever we did a little while ago, to not reference common, we managed to get common, Angular common into its own chunk. I mean, it's part of the initial bundle, and I'm trying to see. So platform browser. So we wouldn't be able to get this chunk out either. It's part of platform browser, but it's also referenced by app component. So again, we couldn't get it out. It's also referenced by HTTPS, which is used in other places, right? It's referenced by router. It's also referenced by wizard components, forms, and vehicle details. So there are a couple of places where we're referencing that, and that's fine. So, and every other chunk in our main, like our initial bundle, is smaller than that. Like this one is way smaller. The 2QS2. Where is that one? So that's you. Did I read that backwards? Did I? Yeah, Q2S. Maybe I've got a little bit of dyslexia going on here. So this is the interop stuff for the store. And then this is a reference to NGRX signals. So this is the signal store library. And the signal store library is directly referenced by the app component. Right, so the app component brings in the vehicle store, and the vehicle store references that stuff. So that's why it is part of the initial chunk. So the VMN, and these are going to get harder and harder to find, but VNM. This is the chunk we're looking at here. And this chunk is the store. And then we're using ng extension, the lazy inject stuff. We can actually take out the lazy inject stuff. And let's go do that, right? So in the store.ts, we have this function, and it's bringing in some stuff that we just don't need. There we go. So that makes that lazy. That's going to change the size of our build, right? So if we go up a couple of directories and we just run our nx build, I need exec, yeah, with our stats.json. That should actually cut down on the size of that initial bundle a little bit. So if we go back and we look, our initial bundle was 264K. This will probably cut back by like 1 or 2K, right? Yeah, 263, right? So we cut a little bit out. These two bundles shrunk, 483 and 454.55. So we actually lost this entire bundle here by removing some dead code. Um, so you know what? We've cleaned up quite a bit. Anyway, I think I was hoping to be able to use that lightweight pattern. That's why I was going through here. I think that's probably enough of that for now. So I was actually going to jump over and commit some stuff, but where is my source control here? Coverage, debug, endpoints, hierarchy. Is it down here? Yeah, there it is. So here, this is the branch that that is the branch that I'm on. I've never actually committed from here. What do I do? I have to do it from the file explorer, maybe? No. NG extension is getting some love. Absolutely, Michael Small. And you keep jumping around on me. Probably because of the ad issues you're having, and that's fine, man. Endpoints, GitHub Copilot, hierarchy run, Alt 0. Twitch kept crashing. So you're saying Alt 0? Oh, there we go. So I should be able to look. Is there a way to look at the diff? So that one was removed. Anyway, we can shut these. So my commit message is going to be that we added pre-shaking eslint rules. So we'll go ahead and commit that. It's not set up. I can't do it. I'll get it set up for you so we can test that later, Michael. So it's this one right here. Okay. Unfortunately, it's not set up, so I can't test it for you. But I will. We will test it. Let's go ahead and stage all of these files. Staging paths failed. What? Okay, get cracking. What happened? Can I stage that file? I can. That one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. Okay. So we added eslint rules for tree shaking and removed E2E test. Um, but just to answer your question, Michael, I think usually when that happens, like when I get slowdowns or stuff, it's usually some sort of pre-commit or post-commit hook. So do you, like when you're using it, do you have any pre-commit or post-commit hooks running? That would be kind of the first thing I would take a look at. Anyway, so we committed that and we spent a little more time there than I intended. So let's go ahead and close this tab. And we'll be back in the visualizer because I do want to do some extreme bundling here in the future. But we did learn that injection tokens and a lightweight pattern are a cool way to handle angular bundle sizes, which is cool. This is another thing, and it's probably pretty bright. But so in the past, we've used Zod. I want to take a look at superstruct and see if superstruct, we can replace superstruct because Zod adds about 60K to your bundle size. So if we go look at like bundle phobia, and inside of here, we look at like Zod, right? So yeah, Zod is 61K minified, which is crazy. And so there are a couple of things that we can use to replace it with, but by far the smallest one is superstruct. JSON schema is another one that was interesting, but superstruct seemed more friendly. There's another bundle library out there, and I don't have any hooks. I think it is probably related to the default code checkers that WebStorm does, such as lint. Yeah, that could be it too, Michael. So like when I'm talking about the slowdowns at work, the slowdowns we're seeing at work are because we run the entire lint through Husky rules. And so if they're doing that too, that's a good possibility. One thing I did want to take a look at really quick was I was looking earlier today for like Zod alternatives. I mean, there was one that kept coming up over and over again. Yeah, Valibot. And that's another one, right? Valibot. 66K minified, but it's supposed to tree shake. So the thing about Zod is that like the 60K that you bring in with Zod is you can't tree shake it away. Valibot is supposed to tree shake away, but right, its library is 39% bigger than Zod, and that's kind of the like looking at bundle phobia can be dangerous because right, if we look at this versus this is way smaller, right? We're 66% smaller than Valibot, but Valibot Valibot claims that it can like do stuff in 1K. And the other thing that I've got that's going on that's weird with Valibot is when I go to try to visit the site, they're just disconnecting. So I'm not really sure. So I decided to just stay away from Valibot. But yeah, they're claiming that you can reduce the bundle size by up to 95% compared to Zod. Um, so I don't know. um, I would like to test it out, but I'm a little bit worried where um, I can't visit their docs site, and right, the connection was just reset, so I'm not sure what's going on their end. Um, but that's also something that I'd like to take a look at is the superstruct. But we may get into that today. Let's go take a look at our Vin decoder service, right? Vin decoder service. Um, and our Vin decoder service is based on, keep launching this, uh, in the wrong browser. So if we go here, um, oh no, I guess it's a good thing that that I didn't try to build it today. Um, the Vin decoder is under maintenance. But so um, yeah, and this is the crazy thing is like prior to 1980, um, VINs weren't even standardized. So like pre 1980s vehicles, you could have 10-digit VINs, and that's perfectly fine, right? It wasn't until 1981, or I believe, yeah, the 1981 model years that they standardized the 17 digits. Um, and like the ninth digit is a check digit based on some math that you do on all the other digits. Um, and yeah, you can tell the year from digit 10, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But these last ones, the last, what is this? This is the last six and the last eight. So quite often when people are asking you for VIN numbers, um, they'll look for the last six or the last eight. Um, because even on a lot like an auction lot, it's really rare that the last six or the last eight will collide. It happens every once in a while, but it's really rare. Um, so it's fairly common that when you talk to like an auto auction or something, they'll be like, "Hey, can we get the last eight of your VIN?" or something like that. And then yeah, you can tell like the country, the maker, and the vehicle type from the first three. Um, so like I know because I worked with Ford quite a bit, I know that one FM is a Ford manufacturer. I also know that one FV is a Ford manufacturer, um, because they were one of the biggest people we worked at the auction that I was at. So I know a lot of Ford VINs. I even think that like GMC has like one GM. That seems right. Um, but so we can at least get here. Um, Partial VINs are also accepted. So if we take a look at like this VIN that we're trying to decode here, um, and let's see if we can get something out of the site. So if we decode this VIN, it does decode. I mean, it tells us right away that our check digit doesn't work. And I wonder if I change this to like a 1GM, does that decode? So yeah, it does tell us that it is a General Motors. So 1GM does work. Um, but I believe this was a 1GC. Yeah. Um, so um, there is information here. Um, so something is working. If I go, and the check digit calculator, does it give us? So that's awesome. Um, so it tells us that what we input for the check digit was 7. What the check digit should have been was 9. And so you convert all of these things over to numbers, right? Um, and then there's certain multipliers for the position within the VIN. And 9 is never calculated into the VIN because that's a check digit. So if we update our VIN to have a 9 here, that means our VIN will validate and we're good. And so um, this is really how you can tell like if a VIN is valid. Um, it's just really as simple as multiplying, right? So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then you skip the ninth digit and 10, and then it's again 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You add all of this up, and then you mod it. You do a mod 11 on it, and that gives us a 9. Um, so yeah, and the reason you do mod 11 could return a 10. And so I think an A is also valid in this. I think an A is also valid here, but I don't remember. Um, anyway, I'm curious. So if we add our decode VIN here, well, actually, let's do that. Paste that there. And it may have just given me that error because I hit a 404. It didn't know where to go from where I tried to go. So let's see what happens if I go here. Let's paste that in. Oh, there we go. It does. So one thing that we learned is that this VIN needs to have a 9 here and a 9 here, and then it validates. It will check as a VIN. So we can take this and let's go here and paste that in. And now we're getting results returned successfully. This is where I want to use something like struct or things like that to decode these because there's a lot in here and we want to pull it apart. But there's a whole bunch in here that we don't really care about. So let's first see, can we call this, right? So we've got our base URL and we've got our join with slash on our location with the VIN. We've got our decode VIN. I don't think we call that anywhere. Yeah. Because when we went to go do that, we had our with VIN decoder feature. So with VIN decoder, right? When we were putting together our model for this, where are you? You're down here. So when we were putting together our model, this is when we got when we went and added the naive option stuff, right? And so then we created our state. But right now we don't have anything more than our error message. And our error message could show up for a whole bunch of different reasons. But in decode state. Oh, this just generates the the empty state, right? We actually do have the decode VIN in here. So we do have the ability to decode the VIN. We're also checking that if the VIN is not 17 in length, but now we have the error message that we can use, and we're computing that based on the error message from the store. So one thing we could do is instead of throwing, right, we could come in here and we could just say, hey, state, or we want to patch our state, right? So patch state. And we're importing that. And then we want to patch our state, and we want to patch it with a partial that's going to give us what we need. Right now, the only partial we have is error messages for our error message. And we can just say, hey, our error message, and we know that our error message is not a string, right? So if we look at error message, it has to be an option. Wait, why can it be undefined? Because patch state allows it to be, right? Because these are optional. In patch state, we get the shape of the state, but then here, yeah, we use partials for our updaters. So here we can just say, hey, our error message is naive sum. And here we can just say, hey, it is VIN must be 17 digits to decode. Or 17 characters. They're not digits. 17 characters to decode. So one thing we're going to want to do, because we're potentially putting errors in here. As soon as we start decoding, we want to just patch our state. State, and we're going to again do our error message. And we're just going to set this to naive none. So there we go. So now our state is reset. There's some things we could do here, right? So one of the things we could do is we could create a function. So we could say function reset state. And that is going to return an object of underscore. Well, in fact, we don't even need to do that. We can just say, hey, return, and we can just grab this. We can return that. And it's not reset state, it's reset error, right? So we've now got, instead of having to remember how to type this all out, now we can just say, hey, when we want to patch our state, we can just say, hey, reset error here. And that's going to work, right? And patch state takes in a couple of different things. So it can take in a partial, or it can take in a partial state updater. So we're just returning a partial. We could, from here, we could return a partial state updater. And we would need to bring that in. And then this is a generic, so we also need to just say, hey, we're going to do error message, right? And the, I mean, one thing we could do is we could do vin decode state. Instead of doing like this, we could do vin decode state, and then here we could add the error message, right? And so now we're not um, handling this properly because it's going to tell us that, right, we don't have a partial state updater. Um, what it's saying we must return. What we have to do is just return a function that takes in state. And then we can do that. I believe that's all we need. It doesn't like that. So error message naive none is not assignable to type naive option string. The expected type comes from, so naive none is assignable. Let's go look at ngrx.io really quick. And let's go to the docs, state signals, signal store, core concepts, and where's my patch state here? So it can take that. Using the patch state function, you can pass in the state. Updating state guide. Okay, so here we go. Custom state updaters. So set first name, partial state updater returns a user of type user, and we return state user. Yeah, see, set first name, set admin. But it doesn't like naive none. Oh, we just want to return naive none here. And I think that's it. Yeah, there we go. I don't even need the state. And so now reset error. Now this doesn't work because parameters of state and state are incompatible. That's right. So we'll just do a partial updater here. It's just going to do vin decode state. And in that case, now we can do what I wanted to do, which was, whoops, want parentheses and then that, and then we can do underscore user for error message is naive none. And there we go. And so I was trying to be too specific. So now our reset error works. And we can do this also with, like the reset is not as interesting as the function set error, which will take in a string for the error message, which for right now is a string. We'll probably change that in the future. And it's going to return a partial state updater of type vin decoder state, vin decode state, and then here set our error. Now we can just take that string and push it into this. And so yeah. So we need to return our error message, right? So we need to return a function. So return, and our function will return. And here, again, we're just going to wrap it in parentheses and then curly braces and save it. And that is way off the side of the screen because I've got too many parens, right? Boom. Yeah. Oh, I need one more there. There we go. So now we've got our set error and error message. And here, instead of this can now just become error message. And that will work, which means that now we no longer need to do this. Now we can just say, hey, set error to that. And that should be it, right? I need one more parenthesis for patch state. And so creating these helper functions can go a long way to making your stores a lot easier to read. And you can move these helper functions into their own files, right? But the cool thing about these error functions is that we can export them, right? And by exporting these functions, we can unit test them. And so, we can see that, when we set an error message, that we get the error message on the error message signal, right? And when we reset the error message, that we get an empty string. And so we, let's go do that right now. We haven't tested the whole feature yet, which we can do in the in the future. But for right now, we can absolutely test that when we call set error, that it's going to return a state of a certain shape. And when we call reset, it's going to return a state of a certain shape. And so let's go ahead. One thing I think would be really cool is if we could just, like, if I right clicked here, that it would give me, what I'm thinking about is, like, it would be really nice if there was a plugin that was smart enough to just create these test files for us. So we're going to describe, and this is our bin decoder feature. And let's just make sure that we name things properly. So we'll call it vin-decoder feature. Vin-decoder feature.ts, right? And inside of here, we are also going to add some tests for, we want to add tests for specifically these, like, set error and reset error. So we can just say, hey, set/reset error functions. Actually, let's just go set error. So there we go. Hey, IFHEB. I don't know how to pronounce your name. For right now, we're just going to call you If. And if you want to give me, like, any hints on how to pronounce your name, please do. But welcome to the stream. Thanks for being here. We're actually I need to wrap up. So after we write these tests, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. But so set error should return a state with the error in a naive sum, right? So we'll go ahead and get this test written. So first thing we want to do is just get a reference to a random string. So random error message. And I hope I got faker in here. Faker. Do I not have faker? So let's go to project.json, and inside of here, let's look for faker. I don't. Okay. So we're going to add that really quick because I like to use fake data in my tests. There are differing opinions on it. I'm not going to go down that path of telling you which one to do or which one not to do. I like it because I've had fake data catch broken tests for me. So let's go ahead and get started. And to install it, I just want to make sure that we're installing this properly. I'm getting the dashes and stuff. There's another library out there called Faker, and the dev kind of broke it. Well, not kind of, he definitely broke it. He had interesting reasons for why he did it. So I'm not, you guys can go read about that if you're interested. Um, but it's definitely broken, and the community was able to save a fork that wasn't broken. And thanks to that fork, Faker.js/Faker was born. Um, so we've now got Faker in here. So now I should be able to import Faker. Yeah, so there we go, Faker. Dot, and here we can do word dot. We should be able to do like a sentence. Noun, adverb, adjective. We're just going to go words, and inside of here we can actually say, hey, we want a minimum of 10. Is that right? Can I do that? Or is it just, yeah, min and max. So I have to provide max, otherwise it doesn't know. And a max of like, we'll say 40, right? Why doesn't it like min here? I don't know what's wrong here. So it's telling me that the object literal may only specify known properties. Oh, does it have to be, does it really have to be count? That's right. I forgot about that. It wants you to say that the count has to be between there and there. So now we've got a random error message. And now we can just say, we can say const results equals, well, we don't even have to do that. We can just say expect, and here we can say set error. And so we'll need to import that. And here we can say random error message to equal. And here now we can say what it should equal is a naive sum with random error message in it. Right, so it's not going to be the exact, but the compare should work. And so if we go and we run our unit tests, pnpm exec nx, we should be able to just do affected -t test. It's only going to run tests on the stuff that we've affected. And I think I could even just run it on like Vin decoder. Yeah. Hey, John Ellis. Oh, yay, tests. I just dealt with testing defer blocks. Defer blocks were really cool. Like they gave us some very, very cool. Oh, so you're using test library. That's really cool. Angular gave us some really cool. They gave us some really cool tools for testing defer also. You can get a reference to the piece that should defer, and hopefully that's not what's broken here. So expected bind function, some native bind, type some value, received anonymous. Oh, yes, yes, yes. We're broken here, and the reason for that is that set error returns a function. We actually have to call that function, right? Expected one argument but got 0. Oh, and state. So here we can just pass in. like we don't use state at all. And what doesn't it like about my state here? Oh, really? So it does want a Vindicode state. So we need to grab from our Vindicoder service inside of here. No, it's not our Vindicoder service. It's our Vindicoder feature. Up at the top, empty Vindicode state is what it's called. So we can just pass an empty Vindicode state, and that should work for us regardless of what changes we make to the state. And since we're really just expecting, and this test still fails because if we go look, so received, right? We're still getting an anonymous. No, that's not right. I didn't run it again. Let's add the dash dash. We can run this one. And then we can add our watch feature on this. And then they should rerun. But it's going to fail. I think they're the same just by going through the fixture. Yeah, the get defer blocks. Yep, that's the way you do it. It's been a little while since I did it, but I do remember that. So what it's expecting is right. It actually returns an object. I didn't create the object. So here we need to just add our underscore error message. And that should equal naive sum. And that should work for us. Assuming our matchers all work, right? A Vindicoder service should be created. Wait. So the service has some issues in it. So we've got a test file here. Yeah, we just need to do the HTTP testing controller, I believe, and that should fix the rest of our tests up for now. No, it doesn't. I always forget HTTP clients. I guess for now we can use the HTTP client. But I would have expected, yeah. See the HTTP test. Oh, it's provide HTTP client testing. I forgot. I'm trying to do it the old school way. That should solve it. And it doesn't. Is that not? We'll come back to this later when I go do the service. Um, but I am a little bit No, let's not put it off. I do need to end, but I also don't want to just get into bad habits, right? So angular.dev um, and test HTTP client. Um, so providers provide HTTP. Oh, I have to provide the HTTP client and the testing client. Okay. Okay. Um, so provide the HTTP client also, and the client testing, and that should fix it. There we go. So those both pass. So the last thing I want to do is just inside of here, um, we want to make sure that it resets, right? So we also want um, to describe, and this will be our reset error. And this is why moving our logic into stores or services um, and away from our components makes testing our components easy. We don't have to really do anything. Um, like it should return a state with error as naive none, right? Um, and so we can really actually, what we want to do is we want to copy this whole test here, um, kind of. We don't really need the expect on it. Um, and actually, uh, what I was going to say, so there are other tests that we'll need to do, but we don't need the random message. Um, and in fact, we can just say that this is reset error here. So reset error. Boom, and we can import that. And this just needs to be naive none. And that should be all we need for our test. And that's the nice thing about creating functions like that, right? Is we can test those functions and make sure that those functions work. And received serializes to the same string. Well, one thing we could do is instead of trying to do a naive none, we can do expect, and we expect a bind function. And this can be expect dot dot function. Um, I need to look up the Jasmine matchers. Not Jasmine, Jest matchers. So Jest matchers. So here we go. Expect. And Jest extended is a pretty cool library. But to be it's like expect dot anything I think we can do expect anything here, but I was hoping that we could do like a function, but any thing, and then we just need the type to be none, and that should match. If that doesn't work, we'll go take a look at still only 2 out of 3 pass. Oh, nope, everything passed. So we're good. I think the reason that it failed is the deep equality on the bind function wasn't the same. And if we go look at our naive option tests, right? So with our naive sum, well, that's just testing. But like with our naive none, right? Our matcher, we actually created this, but because of the way we changed naive none to work, we expected the result to equal what we got in, right? Because we always return the same thing. So these will be equal. But here we had to do exactly, okay, so it's any function. So we can fix that and clean it up just a little bit. So instead of expecting anything, we can expect any function. And that should work too. So yeah. And once these tests pass, I think I'm going to end for the evening. Yeah. So those tests all passed. And that's one of the things that I want to get better at doing. Just for you guys is, once we write some code, it's always in our best interest to make sure that we go write tests. Otherwise, we get to the end of testing and we're going to expect, like these big, huge, long, have to write tons of tests. And those just get boring. But if we write tests as we go along, it gets easier for people to see, right? And so, like these tests, very, very simple to write. Really, we only needed to make sure that this returned an object that looks like this. And we really only need to make sure that this returns an object that looks like this. And then other than that, we're in a good place. The reason the other deep equals worked is that on every naive sum, we're using the same bind function. That's why it worked. Interesting. So at some point, we may need to make some utilities to test our, to test stuff out and make sure that it all works, or make it easier to test our option, different values. So John, I haven't used vtest for Angular, but we run vtest on some of the stuff that I do at work, and it is incredibly fast. Actually, that's not even true. I have used vtest on Angular. If you want to take a look at how to potentially do it, go look at how Analog sets up the vtest services, because all of Analog's tests are run through vtest. And so definitely possible. And there's code out there that'll show you how to do it. Um, so I'm curious if you get it working, what it took for you to do it. But at this point, I'm going to end the stream. Thank you everybody for being here. I really appreciate the comments and just everything. I mean, you guys are amazing. So thank you. We'll be back Sunday morning where we're going to start finishing this up. I keep getting distracted by just cool stuff that's out there. You guys have a good evening. Thank you, Michael. You have a good evening too. And I'll for sure be back Sunday. But we'll see you guys next time. Have a